All right. So yeah, look, my name's Isaac Ivanovic. I've been doing BGA professionally for the last 8 years. Um, I have won the Australian national championships multiple times. I've even won the black belt division, the professional division, and the ADCC. Um, in the ADCC, I suppose, tournament style, and I'm a purple belt. Despite that, I did well even in like the ADCC in the professional division. It's kind of like the newer rule set that's a lot more popular these days, and it's no gi. And so yeah, I'm an multiple time Australian national champion, Pan Pacific champion. I've come third at the World Championships. I've been training a long time and I have a lot to say on this topic. So obviously I've come from like a sport background, but the today we're going to be discussing more about kind of like the value of martial arts and how it will shape your life and what you're going to benefit from it. It doesn't matter exactly which one you do or what your intention is from it, but we're going to go into like a lot of different aspects and how basically pursuing martial arts carries over to all aspects of your life. Now, let's just give a little background into like how I started martial arts. When I was 13, I started Kyokushin karate, and I did that for about 5 to 7 years. I did that from say 13 to 21, a few breaks in between, and that's where my passion started. As you guys, probably some of you guys know that have been in martial arts a little bit longer, Kyokushin karate is a pretty tough style. It's full contact, and as a kid, basically having that experience, I was like a soft little gamer kid when I was 13, and getting put into that, around tough guys, it's something that shapes you. And I'd say that ultimately, the experience of doing martial arts allows you to translate your ability to work hard and push through something that's difficult, push through adversity, and it allows you to bring that to every other aspect of your life. And it seems cliche, you probably hear it a lot, but it definitely cannot be understated. Um, so yeah, that's just a little bit about my background. After Kyokushin karate, I was doing jiu-jitsu, and I got into that, and I've been doing that professionally for the last 8 years. And now I'm at a point where I teach online, I continue competing, and it's done a lot for me. Like it's given me like a whole lifestyle and a career. So, first thing that I want to talk about is why a young man needs to know how to fight. Um, Dimitri, what do you think on that? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask you, like, why does somebody need to know how to fight, especially a young guy?
I think life is full of adversity and challenges, and you need to be ready to defend yourself and your loved ones if something happens. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a garden in war. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah, great point. Great point. And
What comes to your mind?
probably the same thing,
Mm.
but a quote that I heard a while ago that has stuck with me forever is think about this. The undertone of every male interaction is the possibility of violence.
Yep.
So every time you meet somebody, you know that something can happen. There's the potential when you shake someone's hand, you know that beneath the handshake, beneath that colloquial expression where you guys are meeting each other,
Yeah.
there's a potential. This guy
Of
can fuck me up.
violence.
I can
Yeah.
fuck him up. If he can help me, I can help him. So the male world is literally like the undertone of the male world is violence.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if you think about it, the bottom line of anything is violence. If you stop paying your taxes, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
They're gonna,
Letters and then come to your house, arrest you,
exactly,
violence.
come to
Yeah.
your house, and if you resist arrest, what happens? Violence,
Yeah.
right? So having a background in martial arts will give you comfortability and experience with violence. You're not going to be like afraid of it. And just like you said, it's better to be a warrior when in a peaceful time than to be a gardener in war. So even though you'll never use it, just having it will give you an ability to traverse the map of life in a much, much more confident and safe way.
Yeah, it just gives you a lot of confidence in a lot of situations. And I think people respect that. Like if you're in a room with a guy and the guy knows you can rip his head off, he will respect you a lot more and the dynamic changes a lot
100%. It's not
in
like,
any meeting.
no doubt about it. And, it's not that you will rip someone's head off or anything like that, but I would say it's more so that he knows
You can.
you can and that you've done the hard work to develop that skill. It's more so, the knowledge of that journey that kind of builds respect.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next point that we should get into is how it gives you confidence. All right.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, myself when I was a pudgy 13-year-old kid, when I first got into karate, it basically breaks you. You get to a point where you get beat up so bad, after one class. You're a kid. you've just started, you don't really know what's going on, and you get beat up. And coming back to that and building skills, and then you one day being the person that is doing the beating up is a it's a really really nice transition, and it gives you a lot of confidence in all things because there isn't that there isn't much harder things than physically getting beat up. Obviously, mental challenges are difficult, but being going through that will give you a confidence in everything. And so, for example, talking to a girl or taking a test or anything like that will be small in comparison to what you've done in your martial arts journey. And it's not like you have to dedicate yourself into it. But as long as you've experienced being the beginner and then going and becoming adept and then getting some experience in it and just like seeing that process, it's very rare for people to become good in anything these days. There's a lot of average people. And martial arts, not only do you get the experience of becoming good at something, learning something, but you also get the skill of defending yourself and the confidence that comes with it. So the really nice thing about this is that you're able to then transition this skill of getting good at something, of learning something, of pushing through adversity to anything in your life, any facet in your life. Like I said, there isn't things much harder than fighting in martial arts and going 1v1 PvP against somebody else. So if somebody's never had this experience and then they develop it, that's with them forever, and they can apply it to any facet of their life. So I'd say this is like the key component that martial arts give. It's like that ability to get good at something. You can apply it to anything, and then at the same time, you're learning, how to fight and look after yourself, and that gives you confidence. True.
That's absolutely correct. And also, I feel like going through the journey of sucking at something and getting really good at it, it gives you a lot of confidence, not only in martial arts, anything. Like, if you put your mind to something, you can actually achieve it. And then in any other category, when you start something new, like you're going to get there eventually. It just builds up that confidence.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the nice thing about martial arts as well is that unlike studying, for example, studying is a purely, there are some physical elements to it, staying there, sitting all day. But martial arts, the amazing thing about it is, there's a mental, physical, and even a spiritual aspect about it. And I think that's often very underlooked, is that you're actually going to develop all three of these facets at the same time. So you're going to get in better shape, you're going to look better, you're going to think better, and you're even going to, find more peace, because of the journey that you've gone through. So in terms of like the mental aspect, for jiu-jitsu, for example, one of the reasons why I love that so much is, in my opinion, I believe it's the most technical martial art. And the reason for that is, if we look at boxing, for example, boxing is great, sweet science, it's incredible, but you've got a few main punches in it. Whereas with jiu-jitsu, for example, the analogy I want to draw is chess pieces. In boxing, you have less chess pieces than you do in jiu-jitsu just because it's only punching, all right? Whereas in jiu-jitsu, you can get caught up in all different kinds of positions, and each of your limbs can be configured in different ways. There's way more chess pieces on the map that you need to understand and learn how to play with. And for this reason, I think the mental aspect of jiu-jitsu, and the reason why it's so popular and it's really gaining traction and why it's so addictive to people, is because it is like a very, very advanced form of human chess that's difficult to master. It takes a very long time. And going through this journey of being like a white belt beginner and getting, to like a high level, not only will you physically have to transform to get to that point, but mentally, if you're somebody, who hasn't gone through something like that, you've never had to mentally get good at something, you might join, martial arts with a physical intent, but you're going to be forced to become like a mental master. You're going to have to think, you're going to have to get good at chess. And that's why I think jiu-jitsu is better than, the striking arts, because there's a higher element of chess. Not to say the other ones don't have, that element, but jiu-jitsu, there's more chess pieces to play with. So jiu-jitsu, for example, I think you're going to gain more mentally than the other martial arts. Not to say you shouldn't do them. So, I want to underpin that by saying, yeah, like the journey of martial arts, not only will it make you physical, a lot of people think like it's a meathead type thing, but absolutely not. You really have to think deeply, and you have to constantly analyze your game. You have to go home, you have to think about it, and that process will enhance, your mental faculties significantly. Yeah.
One thing I thought of that I was going to bring up, Andrew
Mhm.
Even a lot of guys are against jiu-jitsu because the argument is in a street fight
Yep.
and a real life situation when you're on concrete, you can bite, you can strike, you can gouge someone's eye out. It's not as effective as someone knows Muay Thai kickboxing.
And
What's your answer to that? Like,
yeah,
I haven't talked to someone that's
mhm.
professional in the game, so I want to see what you think.
No, absolutely. It's a great question. And he's not wrong. Okay.
Mm.
For sure, there is biting, there are all these things that can take place. And like even me with my jiu-jitsu knowledge, I would not be looking to go to the floor like a club or a street fight or anything like that. It's a little bit stupid.
Yeah.
However, the amazing thing about learning grappling is that, for example, there's two main elements to this that I think make grappling like like a base level of grappling is a must know. And the reasons why is, for example, let's say you're a boxer, okay, and you fight me,
Yeah.
okay, your skill set, I have to engage with you for your skill set to be effective. At any point, I can just run away from you.
Yeah.
I can literally run away from you. And obviously that's great for a street fight, you know. You want to run away and then you don't have to fight the person at all. So if you're a boxer, you scare somebody to run away, that's great. But the point is that if you're trying to punch me, I can just run away from you at any point.
But isn't
And
that for jiu-jitsu? I can just run away from you?
no, you can't. But what I'm trying to say is if you grab me,
Yeah.
well, now it's different.
Yeah.
You're holding me.
Mm.
And even if I don't have to go to the floor, I'll understand the position that you're in and I can judo throw you. I can do a quick takedown, a trip. I can put you on the floor and then I can run. But the point is that boxing, I have to engage with the person. I can run away from a boxer at any point. But if somebody grabs me and you don't know what to do and you haven't done that day in, day out, you're going to fumble a little bit. Something could happen. Okay. So there's a chance basically that you can get in trouble. Okay. But if somebody grabs me and you're good at grappling, well, now they're in your world.
Sure.
Okay. And you can disengage as quick as possible and run away. Okay. But having that knowledge is going to complete your street game. Okay. So I'm not saying learn jiu-jitsu and go to the ground in fights. That's stupid.
Yeah, but just it's good to have. It's the good knowledge to have.
It's very good to have. And now, furthermore, on this point, okay, so with boxing, I have a good friend who's a boxer, and sometimes we'd make fun of each other. You're gay on the ground, getting all all this shit. But I would tell him, your boxing is a useless skill set in the street, and I'll tell you why. It's not useless. It's not useless. But I made the joke that it was useless for this reason. So we live in a litigious society, and what that means is obviously America's a little bit different to Australia, but people will sue you if you beat them up.
True.
Now, for boxing to be effective,
You gotta beat them up.
you got to beat them up.
Yeah.
You got to bash them. You punch them. You knock them out. They hit their head on the floor. They could die. They lose their teeth. You break an orbital bone. They're going to hospital. So if you want your skill set to be effective most of the time, like obviously you can liver punch somebody, that type of thing, knock somebody out, they'll be okay. But there's a high chance that with boxing, kickboxing, striking, you will seriously hurt someone in order for your skill set to be effective on the street. Now that's great for a life or death situation. You need to know that. A lot of times you might not get caught. So you should still know how to strike. But the point is, whereas with jiu-jitsu, grappling, I can disarm somebody without hurting them.
Yeah, you can like control
If I choose
them,
to.
you can,
Exactly. Or at the same time, I can judo throw them on their head and kill them. I can choke them out and kill them. But the point is that with that knowledge, you can disarm somebody without actually hurting them. You may have to get down to the ground, but you never know. Like, for example, let's say you're a boxer and a crackhead comes up to you. All right.
And I've seen a lot of street fights turn into grappling because people don't know how to fight and they grab you.
It's a classic quote. They say all street fights end up on the ground. If you look at street fights a lot, people will grab onto each other, something will happen, and you might fall to the ground. And having a grappling base, having some grappling knowledge will make a significant difference in those exchanges.
Yeah.
Even Tate and Tristan, all these guys, they train MMA. They have a base level of grappling knowledge.
Yeah,
So they're safe in that department. So you don't need to be an expert at it. You just need to have a little bit of exposure to it, and that will make a massive difference. So on that point, street fights end up on the ground, and you need to know a little bit. And it's going to make a big difference in your confidence and where things go, and you're safe no matter where it goes. If you fall to the floor, you know a technique, you can get back up straight away. What were we saying just before that?
Just that was it.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, with the boxing, this is the analogy I was going to give. So let's say you're in the street, and you're walking home from work, what have you, walking from the club, and some crackhead comes up to you. All right. Now, let's say you're in an alley for whatever reason and you can't run away. Always running away is going to be the best. But if you're a boxer, if you only know how to box, if you only know how to strike, and obviously in a situation like this where your adrenaline levels are high, you're not going to think clearly. You're going to rely on muscle memory. So if all you have is to knock him out, yeah, I mean, you can knock him out as a crackhead. Who cares? Right? But the point is that you have to significantly hurt this poor guy that's high who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Okay? You got to fuck him up. He's going to get seriously hurt if you knock him out. And versus if you know jiu-jitsu, you have a grappling base, you can disarm him. You don't have to hurt him. You can put him out of the way and you can continue about your life. So that's the thing. Now, also, let's talk about the biting and the eye gouging and all of these things. So it's like a common argument where people will say, all right, what about Krav Maga? I'm going to poke your eyes and I'm going to rip your nuts off and I'm going to do all this shit to you. Your jiu-jitsu, your boxing is going to be useless. I'm just going to block and eye gouge you. Right?
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But the reason why, okay, I would say boxing is better than Krav Maga because there's a real emphasis on boxing on distance control and, you know, understanding your distances and, you know, when you're in the pocket and whatnot. And having a better understanding of this will result in you being able to eye gouge that person better than he can eye gouge you. Learning to eye gouge is not hard. There isn't much technique. You put your eyes in. You put your hands in their eyes, right? But having that that knowledge of
distance,
like knowing when to get in, when you're safe, all that type of thing, you're going to be able to eye gouge them too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? So it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. People say, "Oh, I can bite."
But fighting dirty is not like a skill.
Yeah, exactly. But the skill is the distance management, the positioning,
Footwork,
the setups,
around,
the footwork, all that kind of thing. That's the hard thing to develop.
Yeah.
Like doing an eye gouge and not kick, that's easy. And secondly, so think about people say biting, right? Eye gouging is valid. But if you can gouge my eyes,
I can
gouge your eyes.
I can bite you. I can rip your ear off.
Exactly. And if I'm a better boxer, if I'm a better grappler, I can be in a superior position where I can do those things to you.
Yeah.
Right? So now, what I also wanted to say was biting. People say biting is like a common one, right? Like if you do an armbar on me, I'm going to bite your leg. Have you ever, like I'm going to bite your calf. Now, first of all, have you ever tried to take let's say you order a steak and you get it raw.
Yeah.
You get like some kind of rump steak. How hard is that shit
and
to
I
chew?
feel like if you have me in an armbar, how hard I bite you, doesn't matter. You're going to break my arm, you know?
Yeah. And look, if you're doing the armbar right, your calf's not exposed there anyway. You're back heeling hard. They can barely move their head. They ain't biting shit. But even if they do bite, have you tried to bite into some raw, tough meat like a calf? You think you're just going to rip it off with all the adrenaline and stuff?
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. Not to mention if somebody's wearing jeans.
Oh, yeah. Then
How different would that be if someone's wearing jeans, right? So the biting element, yeah, it's there. You know, you could bite someone's neck, bite someone's ear. That's always there. But at the same time, I can bite you. And if I have knowledge, I'm in a superior position to do the biting.
Yeah.
Okay, not to mention, you know, if I get down on the ground and I elbow you from the belly, you're not biting nothing. You're knocked out, right? Or if you're a better boxer, like there's nothing to bite. You're already out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think like the biting and that whole thing is massively overstated. Now, that's not to say you only need jiu-jitsu and you shouldn't learn striking at all. You need all of them.
Yeah, it's a combination.
You need all of them. But the point is, a grappling base will give you a massive advantage in a street fight versus somebody that doesn't have a grappling base. Now, I'm not saying grappling, like playing guard on the floor on your back. You got to know some wrestling, all these things. I include that in grappling. So having this grappling base makes a significant difference to your street fight potential and confidence. And that's why I think, you know, jiu-jitsu and people say wrestling, all this thing. Jiu-jitsu, I just mean grappling when I say that. So having that as a base will make a massive difference to your ability to traverse the earth and your safety when you go about it. All right. So anything to add on that?
No. Have you seen the car jutsu? The guys that fighting. Have you seen that?
I have, bro.
Pretty
Yeah,
funny.
I have, bro. It carries over to cars, huh?
Yeah. I was just randomly scrolling. I was like, no way, this is a thing. And there's like proper competitions. They
Full
start
on,
like
yeah.
with seatbelts on. And
They got refs and stuff. They're choking each other with their seatbelts.
yeah, I didn't know that's a sport.
Yep. Yeah, bro. Me neither. I'm not a fan of it though.
It's funny.
It's like slap fighting.
Yeah, it's like a spin-off.
Excuse me.
No, good.
All right. So just on to like finalize this conversation, these points that we've been making, let's just backtrack a little bit to the confidence and what you get in martial arts. So I'll tell you guys about Miyamoto Musashi. So he is, widely known as the best samurai to have lived in the Japanese feudal age. And the story is that he had, I forgot the exact number, something like 100 duels where he was victorious. And now you've seen movies of people having fights with swords, and they're sword fighting again and again, and they're in like a 20, 30-minute battle. In real life, these sword fights is just one or two exchanges, and that's it. Someone gets stabbed, someone gets sliced, and that's the end of the fight. With a sharp sword, your fingers get swiped a little bit. That's it. You can't really hold the sword anymore, and you lose. So he was actually in 100 duels, something like that,
Crazy.
where he didn't lose. And so he's the most famous samurai. Okay, and he was in all kinds of different battles, and there are legends about him. And he scared 50 men off by himself. Like, he had all these amazing tactics. And one interesting thing is he was actually a very, very dirty fighter. Very dirty fighter. But anyway, towards the end of his life, he wrote a book called The Book of Five Rings. And it's an amazing book. And the most important part of the book can be summarized with this simple quote. And it's his quote. There are many ways to the top of the mountain, but learning one of the ways to the top of the mountain means you will be able to transition that getting to the mountain to any other different type of mountain. And so that was one of the things that he talked about a lot. And so getting good at martial arts is a mountain for you. And if you learn how to get to the top of that mountain, you can learn how to get to the top of any mountain. And for a young man, what better first mountain is there to start with than something that's going to give you the confidence to traverse the world as any male should. All right, so that's kind of what I want to finish my point with. The Musashi story, if anyone's interested, Book of Five Rings, I highly recommend it. You're going to love it if you love Japanese stuff and all that. What?
Sounds good.
Nice. All right, and so one of the other things I want to talk about is why, like the value of martial arts in a young man's life is it's going to give you a community. And it's not just a random community of people that you find like at your school, people that you're stuck with. Everyone, as I've been talking about, this whole time, all the great things about martial arts, you're going to find a community full of people like that are going to teach you all different types of things, mental, physical, and spiritual, right? You're going to teach people that will give you tips and teach you how to think. You're going to learn from people. They're going to teach you about how to get physically stronger, how to stay physically safe, how to keep your body healthy through martial arts. So you're going to get a community, and you're going to learn all different kinds of things from the different people in this community, and not just like fighting related, like business related. You'll meet all different kinds of people. Like, one of the things about fight gyms, like you'll see criminals training with lawyers, with doctors and police, all together, all happy. Like, there isn't really anything like it. Okay, like the bond that you create training with somebody, sweating, hurting, pushing through. There's nothing like it, and I think that's an invaluable element of martial arts, and that's why it should be in someone's life. And then, especially if you're a young guy, one of the other really, really nice parts about it is it will keep you out of trouble. You're not going to be wasting your life, Friday night going out doing this, doing activities that have zero ROI. Really, okay? You're not going to be as a young kid getting into gangs or anything like this. Like, you don't have time. You're training. You're exhausted after. And like I said, it's a way higher ROI activity. And so that's one of the other elements of it. You're going to stay out of trouble. You're going to have a really nice community, and it's going to keep you out of trouble. So even for dads, you should put your kids into it for that reason. Okay. So now we've spoken a little bit about, what to learn, description of street fights and which martial arts are the most useful. So I want to expand on that a little bit. So obviously, as I was saying, a grappling base is extremely important. But then what you put on top of that is up to you. In my opinion, I'd say grappling and boxing is probably the best combination.
Yeah.
If you're wearing jeans, that type of thing, kicking can be a little bit hard. So knowing boxing, knowing grappling, I think.
So you don't like Muay Thai? You think
Muay Thai is great. Like, I personally would learn Muay Thai. I would go Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu if I was starting
that's
fresh.
a very good combination. Yeah.
It's MMA, right?
Yeah.
It's MMA. MMA is Muay Thai is traditionally Muay Thai, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Okay, but grappling, it's modern. We've gone beyond it kind of just being a ground thing. There's wrestling involved as well. So grappling, Muay Thai, grappling, boxing. Pick one that you like, and stick to it. Get good at them. And now, one of the other things I want to talk about, now that we've brought up the other arts, is that jiu-jitsu versus boxing and these types of things. When you spar, when you do jiu-jitsu, you have the ability to go hard at 100%, go extremely competitive, try to kill each other. But due to the nature of grappling, you will not really be hurt after. You'll be
So when
fine.
you're sparring, you can spar with a lot more intensity.
Exactly.
But if you spar in boxing full force, someone's gonna get fucking destroyed.
Exactly right. So if you spar hard in boxing,
Yeah.
you're going to be dizzy after. You're going to lose
Yeah.
brain cells.
Yeah.
And if you do that again and again, it won't be long before you're going to be slurring your words and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So that's one of the most amazing parts about jiu-jitsu is you can spar hard again and again and again for years and years and years. If you know what you're doing with training and you're looking after yourself in the gym and that kind of thing, you're going to be able to train much harder. So what does that equate to? Of critical importance, it's basically you're experiencing real life intensity, like a street fight intensity, again and again. So you're getting significant exposure to real fight situations. Obviously, it's different, eye gouging, punches, all this stuff, but the pace that you're going at, the intensity, it's going to be very similar to what you do in sparring. Versus boxing, it'll be different to if you don't spar really hard, it'll be different to what you encounter in the street. Obviously, people are untrained, this will be easy, you'll beat them up. But the point is that you will have that exposure to real situations. And that's one of the other invaluable elements of jiu-jitsu is it gives you that exposure. Okay. So yeah, I think it's really good to know boxing. Obviously I'm a little bit biased. I would put most of my time into jiu-jitsu. I think it's the most fun, but whichever ones you go with is fine. I would just say if you're gonna do a striking art, really be careful with how hard you spar. I've seen a lot of people change the way they talk.
Yeah, I've seen
because of
that.
it. Really?
Many fighters you see, like, you know what I mean, after years and years, like,
It's true. What's one that comes to your mind?
I think Muhammad Ali, but I think that wasn't because of fighting, was it?
Well, he had Parkinson's, man. I
Yeah,
think
it was Parkinson's.
he took a lot of
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah, well, I think it's combination, bro. I think that definitely did something.
It contributed to it for sure.
Yeah, but a lot of fighters you see, like I can't name them, but like it's coming. It's something known in that just happens.
It's sad, man.
Yeah,
It's sad, and there isn't that much awareness about it. Like it's just kind of part of the culture. Like, yeah, go hard, be okay, big deal. But man, you will see it a lot.
yeah, and sometimes you feel like people don't realize that they're just deteriorating.
True. No, they don't really realize. And like when you are doing it every single day, you don't really get a gauge of how it's changing day to day.
Yeah,
when
but
you
if you like gap, like if I see you today and I see you in 2 years, and I'm gonna like, fuck, he's
Exactly right.
decreased rapidly. Yeah,
Exactly right. So, with that point as well, for all martial arts, I want to talk a little bit about how you should train and what your focus should be. So, obviously, sweating, getting good workout in, these things are fun, these things are great. However, the point of training is not to develop toughness.
Yep.
Toughness comes over time. Toughness comes in, coming to training when you saw getting out of hard positions. The most important thing with training is developing skills. And the way that you develop skills is routine over time, not going hard, not max intensity, and training less. So having more volume will allow you
just consistency and just discipline to keep that up. I think that's the most important.
Exactly. I completely agree. So yeah, having a routine that allows for skill acquisition over time is going to result in you getting better. So don't focus on winning. The worst thing you can do is when you're training martial arts is to focus on winning.
Yeah.
That's how you get hurt in boxing. That's how you get hurt in jiu-jitsu. And that's how you learn the least. Because when you're winning, you're not relaxed. And when you're not relaxed, it's much harder to recall what your coach taught you that day. Versus if you're relaxed, you're flowing, you're playing, there isn't much ego in it. It's all good to go try a new move, to try the new move that your coach showed you.
Yeah.
You can practice it. It's fine. And as a result of you trying the new move, you're going to get better much quicker.
True.
So for all the guys looking to start, make sure that when you go into martial arts, you must focus on trying to get better over time by training in a relaxed manner. Don't try to win. Try to win at using the move that your coach was showing that day. That's the key to training. And that's how you will train for many, many years. Don't try to win, try to get better. and you're going to relax, you're going to get injured less, and it's just going to be a better experience for all of you. So the most common thing with beginners is they go in and they go hard. Every martial art, they see it, they walk in the first day, they're scared, they're tense, they go in hard. Don't do that. Just be relaxed. It's going to be better for you in the long run. So with that said, let's talk about finding a gym. So as I was saying, pick any of the martial arts that you like. Don't do any McDojo stuff. Stick to the main things. Maybe like a full contact karate style if you're so inclined. But do grappling, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling together. So if you're going to do that, make sure you find a gym where they do no-gi, gi, wrestling as well. They do a lot of standing. You have to learn the standing stuff. So make sure that you find a good gym that will have that, all right? If you're looking at a boxing gym or a striking gym, try to learn Muay Thai, kickboxing, or boxing. Those should be the three that you prioritize. Don't waste your time with the other ones these days. And yeah, when you look at a gym, you want to find a gym where the instructor has competed in the past, is active, and you want to find an instructor that still trains that still trains with you guys today. It's very important that your instructor isn't somebody who just teaches.
Yeah.
You want some, most of the time, you want somebody that trains and keeps up to date with your things. Like you can trust them more. Things are going to be safer in his hands just because he's going through it just like you are. And it's kind of ironic because John Danaher, my coach, he doesn't train anymore, and he's like the best coach in MMA and jiu-jitsu. And he's very injured, so he has a reason. He's crippled. But anyway, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Like, do you have anything else to say?
No, I think you covered the topic pretty well. I think you touched base on pretty much every point that we could have covered.
Yeah, I feel this is quite comprehensive. So if somebody listened to this, take my advice. One of the best things you can do is learning a martial art. Okay, it doesn't matter what your age you are. Like, start. If you're a bit older, take it easy. It's fine. Now, if you guys like jiu-jitsu, I have a Instagram on jiu-jitsu, Isaac Ivanovich JJ, YouTube, Instagram,
Put it
TikTok,
down below, yeah.
where I teach jiu-jitsu. I have a fundamental course on there, so for all beginners, it's going to be a great one for you to learn. I've basically compiled all the best techniques from my coach and other great coaches and put it into like a concise DVD. So I've got that for you guys if you're interested. And then in terms of MMA, for example, you should follow Firas Zahabi. I think he's a really good guy to learn MMA from. A lot of other great general advice. And don't be afraid to study on these things. If you guys have questions, comment below. Happy to message me on Instagram. I'll answer any questions. I hope that was helpful for you guys, and that's all I have to say. True.
No, I think for the topic of the conversation today, we covered everything. There's not many things I can think of.